there, Laurie here from Unique in the Creek, and today we're going to put together kit number 119. It is an Easter flower kit. This is just a suggested way that you can put your kit together. You can check out all the different flowers that we've done on the large board and choose whatever way you want to put your flower together. Okay, so you can do exactly as I'm doing right now, or you can change it up and make it your own. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go through what's in the kit. So you get the large board, the Unique in the Creek large board. You get 250 elastic bands. You get an 8-inch sign that says Happy Easter and it's got glitter on it. You also get a full roll of lavender horizontal wide stripe mesh. And then we got a full roll of 10.5-inch beautiful plaid vertical metallic striped mesh. So it's going to give it that little bit of shimmer in your flower. You also get the Unique in the Creek 100 pack of zip ties. We got wire cutter. And in your packet, you also get two pipe cleaners, two pink pipe cleaners. They are for the sign. So we're just going to put this to the side. We don't need that till later. You also get two metal clips, which we are going to use. And you get an adhesive Unique in the Creek measuring tape. Now this is for those of you that are just beginning and may not have all the fancy tools like a cutting mat or in a rotary cutter and stuff like that, that you can just use scissors, okay? So what you're going to do, and I'm going to use our measuring tape for this video. However, if you do have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, or if you even want to wood burn it, there are videos on how to do that on our YouTube channel. For this video, I'm just going to assume everybody is a beginner, and that's how I'm going to teach this, okay? So what I'm going to do is this is a low tack sticker. Okay, this ruler, it goes from 0 to 24 inches. I'm just going to put it on my cutting mat. You would just put it on your table. It's low tack, so it is not going to ruin your table. So you're going to kind of pull it taut so it's, no wrinkles or anything in it. And you're just going to place it down on your table just like that. Okay? And now you can use it for measuring your mesh or ribbon or whatever your project you're doing that you need to do some measuring. Alrighty? So first thing I think we're going to do is we're going to preload the large board. Okay? If you've never used the Unique in the Creek large board before, there are 5 rows on the board, and it says 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I will be referring to these rows as we build our flower wreath, okay? Right at the top where there's a number 1 in between these two, they're called chamfered, but they kind of divot in. Those are our hanging holes, and that is the top of our wreath board, okay? So we will put a zip tie in these 2 holes at the end to hang our flower wreath on. So we are not going to be using any holes on row 1 for this project. We are, however, going to be using the normal holes on row 2. And we are going to preload the board closed, which means you're going to open up your zip ties, okay? And there are sets of holes. On row 2, there's 16 sets of holes. All right. We're going to just use 8 of these holes. So where the number 2 is, that set of holes, I am not using. Because on row 3, I will be using the set of holes directly below. So because I'm skipping holes, we're not going to use this one. So we're going to go to the right of where the number 2 is. You're going to take your zip tie with the flat part of the head facing in between the 2 holes. You're going to go down 1 hole, back up the other, And the tail of your zip tie then goes into the flat part of the zip tie, and you will hear that zipping sound. Now you don't want to zip it really tight to the board like this because you need that space to work with, okay? So you don't want to put it right to the board because you want to give yourself as much space as possible to manipulate the mesh and everything. So we're going to go down, back up, put the zip tie tail into the flat part of the head. I hear a couple little zips and it's locked. I'm going to leave it exactly like this. I'm going to skip this set of holes and I'm going to go to this one. So down and back up. Skip, down, back up. You're going to do this all the way around row 2. Now another way you can preload your board is you can get something round so that you can lift your board off the table. You can flip your board over so it's off the table, and what you can do is pop your zip ties in from the back. So you still want the flat part of the zip tie facing in between the 2 holes and just pop it in like that. We're going to skip that one, pop it in, skip, pop it in, then you can take it, flip it over, and just do them up. Okay, so there's the 8 on row 2. Now on row 3, you're going to see 8 sets of normal holes. They're the same size holes as row 2. You'll see an extra hole in between those normal holes, we call them. That extra hole is for projects that require more petals and stuff like that. We're just going to use the normal holes on row 3. So you're going to start off right where the number 3 is and go down and up and do that up. You're going to skip, there's that single hole there, we're not using that. You're just going to go to the next set of holes, down and up. And again, you can take your whatever you have to lift your board up and just pop them into the single or the regular holes. Okay, once you have that, then you're going to go and do them up till you hear that clicking. Okay, and then we're going to preload number 4. So there's 8 normal holes on row 4. Again, down and up, or pop them in from the back. Okay, row 5 we will be using, but I'm not going to put any zip ties into it right now because I just don't want it to get cluttered while I'm teaching. But once we get to row 5, I will be explaining how to put the zip ties in. It will be the 4 separate holes plus our shared holes we'll be using. Okay, so our board is preloaded, ready to go. So now we're going to work on cutting our mesh. Okay, so what you need is a nice sharp pair of scissors. Okay, unless you have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter. Now, the way I'm going to do this flower is I'm going to do the lavender on row 2, and then I'm going to do petals of the vertical plaid mesh on rows 3 and 4, and then I think I'm going to come back for row 5 and I'm going to do the lavender again. So there is a lot of colors in this 8-inch sign that I think it will go much better with, the sign will look much better with the solid back. It won't be as busy than putting the foiled back on it. Okay, so I'm going to be doing lavender, plaid, plaid, lavender on the 5th row. Okay, so let's cut our lavender pieces first. You need 8 pieces of this lavender mesh for row 2. Okay, so we are going to cut this just with our scissors. So we have our measuring tape down on our table, and you're going to roll out your mesh, okay, and put the end right at the end of your measuring tape and just put something down on it, okay? And you're going to line up this bottom edge with your measuring tape, okay? And this mesh is 10.5 inches wide. Now, it does say that it's 10 inches on the paper. The manufacturer is wishy-washy with that. When you do measure this, it is 10.5. So we want to make a 10.5 inch square. It's just easier when we're folding for petals. So I'm going to cut 8 pieces of this mesh at 10.5 inches. So I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut in between the thick strips of this purple or the lavender mesh. So I'm cutting right in between the strips there. And that way you get a nice perfect squared piece if you're cutting in between the thicker vertical lines, okay? So we're going to do 8 of these at 10.5 inches. So again, line it up at the 0, and then make sure your bottom is lined up, and then the closest between the 2 thicker vertical at 10.5, we're going to cut in between. Now, of course, if you do this with a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, it is a lot quicker. But if you don't have the tools, it's still absolutely doable. Just take a little bit longer. That's 3. once you have your 8 pieces of mesh, we are going to start pre-making our petals. So I'm going to be doing 3 different petals on this flower, and I'm going to explain in detail how to make each petal. You can do, like I said at the beginning of this tutorial, you can do whatever petal you want with what you have. So I think doing different petals in a flower gives it really interesting dimension. So I like to mix and match the different petals and different mesh. Like, for instance, this is a horizontal wide stripe, which has no metallic in it, and we're adding a little bit of shine in it. The contrast is fabulous. So that is why I picked these types of mesh. The petal I'm going to use for the outside is the Pinwheel petal, it's called. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that 10.5 by 10.5 inch piece that you cut. All right, we're going to turn it into a diamond shape in front of you. And I always stress that we're going to use, and this is just for, so you don't get any bad habits, in case you do like to make flower wreaths, always work with your mesh, unless instructed, always work with your mesh to the top left, bottom right, those factory edges, okay? And most of the petals are curl up, which means if I let go of this, it's going to curl up on itself, okay? That's the easiest way to explain curl up, curl down, and the factory edges. If you always have your factory edges, like I said, I like to drill this into my students' heads, always have factory edges, top left, bottom right, and then it just comes to you naturally. And then you don't even have to think about it when you're making other petals, okay? So all our petals today are going to be exactly like this, top left, bottom right. All right, so we have it in a diamond shape. You are going to take this top corner, you're going to bring it down and match it to the bottom corner here, okay? And when you have a square, everything lines up. Now, if it doesn't line up perfectly, do not stress. This petal is very forgiving, and that's why I really like this petal, because you don't have to wood burn it, because you're not going to see any frays. And it's fun. It gives it a really nice dimension. Okay, so your top corner to bottom corner, make this triangle shape. All right, and then you're going to take, I'm right-handed, so I always start with my right side. You're going to take this corner and bring the corner down, and this top edge is going to go straight down the middle, just like that. And these edges right here will line up with each other. Okay, so top right, you're going to bring this edge right down the center of your petal. Okay, I'm going to get one of my elastic bands ready. You can use your clips, so you can clip this so it doesn't, when you let go, it doesn't open up, because we are going to now flip this over and do the same thing with this side. So this edge is going to go right down the center. All right, and everything matches up. It kind of looks like one of those handkerchiefs or even a kite. All right, so that's what we have. We have a folded edge on one side and a folded edge on the other side. And then I flip it to the left, only because I'm right-handed, and then we're going to scrunch up. So you can put it down the corner on your measuring tape. So there's the very bottom corner. I have it on the 12, and I'm going to pinch it around the 10-inch mark here. So we're going to make like a 2-inch tail. So at 2 inches, I'm bringing the bottom up to the middle, and then I'm going to bring the top down to the middle. Okay, I'm going to take this little rubber band that we brought out, and I'm going to band this. Okay, and there's our petal. So it's the same on both sides. It's a pretty cool petal, and as you can see, there's no edges that you see, so you're not going to see any of the fray. All right, so let's do that one again. Curl up. Right in front of you, 10.5 by 10.5. We're going to turn it into that diamond shape. We're going to bring that top corner, remember our factory edge, left, bottom right, top corner to the bottom corner. Okay, measure it up. And this mesh is really nice for this petal, so it measures up quite nicely. You're going to take the right side, bring it straight down the middle, and our edges are matching up here. We can then put a clip on it. We're going to flip it over, grab a rubber band. All right, and then we're going to bring this right down the middle as well with these edges lining up. Okay, I'm flipping it to the left because I'm right-handed, putting the point right where the 12 is, and at the 10, bring that edge into the center from the bottom, and then the top, bring that in, and then you can band it. Now, if you don't want to band it and you want to go a little quicker, now these are just pre-making your petals, and usually I pre-make them while I'm watching TV in my lap and stuff. If you don't want to pre-make them and you just want to make the flower as you go, what you can do is put it right into the zip tie as you're making each petal. So we'll do it like that. So again, curl up, diamond shape, left top, bottom right, top corner to bottom corner, lining the edges, which the edges automatically line up when you match the two corners. Okay, we're going to take this right. I got most of it in the palm of my hand and the thumb on the top. Just fold it over so it's going straight down the middle. Let's clip it, flip it over, do the exact same thing. Down the middle, line up these bottom. I'm going to flip it to the left. Put the corner where our 12-inch is. Pinch up at the 10. Pinch down at the 10. And then we're going to put it right where my fingers are. You're going to put this tail in until the zip tie hits your fingers. And then you can do this right up. So you don't have to rubber band them if you don't want. So you can make your flower as you go. If you pre-make them, you just literally have to take your petal, slide it into the zip tie, and then you're going to put the zip tie right over top of that rubber band. And you're going to continue on till all 8 are filled. once you're done row 2, you are going to take your zip tie clippers. You're going to go straight down. Now, these I like to use, if you don't squeeze them really hard, they're great to use like a needle nose pliers. So meaning you can squeeze just a little bit, pull with it, and you'll get just a little tighter grip on your zip tie there. And then you're going to go straight down to the head and snip that off. Okay, so you can pull. I got these pretty tight already. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. So we are going to now work on row 3, the next row that we preloaded. And row 3 and row 4, I'm going to be using this gorgeous plaid mesh. Now, if you put it on your ruler, you will see it indeed is 10.5 inches. Again, the paper only says 10 inches. I literally measure every single roll before I use it, okay? And I've been finding that a lot of the mesh is 10.5 inches, not 10. So it's a good idea if you're not using a kit and making flowers that you measure your mesh. I wouldn't go by the paper, okay? So you can really see there's that 10.5 right there, and that's right where the end of this is. So we are going to cut eight pieces of this gorgeous mesh at 10.5. Again, if you have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, or if you want to wood burn it, we're going to do the Dean Michael Petal, this next one. This mesh is very forgiving. It doesn't fray too bad because it does have a lot of metallic stripes in it. Now, this is one petal that we do recommend you wood burn. However, the way it all really depends on your mesh. And like I said, this mesh is very forgiving. So we're going to try it with just the scissors. So first thing I want to do is make sure my edge is a nice clean edge. So as you can see at the end here, there's a little bit of green here and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up the edge, and I'm going to cut just outside that first thick blue vertical stripe there. Okay, yours might not be blue, it may be pink or green or whatever. We're just making a nice clean line right there. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the lavender mesh. I'm going to put something heavy just to hold that edge down. Okay, we're going to line up the bottom with our ruler or your cutting mat. Okay, and then I'm going to find the 10.5, which is right here, which is perfect because we're cutting into the blank space in between here. You'll see that there's a wider space between the vertical strips that's in the mesh. Okay, so you just want to cut as straight as you can down the 10.5 inch line. Okay, and we're going to need 8 of these for row 3. Now, if you don't want to do the petal, you can continue on with doing the pinwheel petal that we just did with the lavender. That will be really cute too. But like I said at the beginning, I like to mix up the different petals. So this row 3 and 4. Row 3, we are doing 8 Dean Michael petals, and row 4, we're doing 8 Dean Michael petals. So we're just going to go row by row. So I'm just cutting 8 pieces for row 3 right now. once you have your 8 pieces cut, again, you can pre-do these by having your little rubber band ready to go. So first couple we'll rubber band them, and the next ones we'll just put them right into the zip tie. Okay, like I said, we're going to do a Dean Michael petal, which is a very popular petal for sunflowers. So we have our 10.5 by 10.5 inch piece again, right? We are going to put it in a diamond shape, curl up, just like we did the lavender, the factory edge, top left, bottom right. And what I'm going to do is, you can either bring the top down to the bottom or the bottom up to the top. It doesn't matter. I'm in habit of doing mine from top to bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to clip. We want to make sure that the corner at the bottom totally lines up. It doesn't matter if anything else lines up. I want this corner to line up. Okay, and we're going to pull out this string because we did not heat seal this. So we are going to have a few little strings, and at the end, it most definitely can just cut them down, okay? So you have a triangle shape. We have our corners all matched up. I flipped my corner to go to the left, again, because I'm right-handed, and I'm going to work on this long side of the petal here. My mesh isn't perfectly 10.5 by 10.5, but that's okay. If you're a perfectionist, you're definitely going to want to probably wood burn your mesh, or even at the very least rotary cutter. But you'll see just by using scissors, it does turn out really nice as well. Okay, so we have our left corner pointing to the, or our corner pointing to the left. So what I like to do is I want to find the center of this petal. So what I kind of do is just put my finger down on that bottom corner and kind of stretch. So it's got a little bit of give there, right? So you kind of stretch, and I can see that right here is the middle of this triangle. Right where the middle is, I'm going to pinch it, okay? So I got my 2 fingers. I got the left hand is in between, the corner is in between the 2 fingers here, and then I got my 2 fingers up at the top. I'm going to kind of pull it, and as I'm pulling it, I'm going to make this pleat right in the center. Okay, so you're grabbing it like that. Now you can let go of this left hand because we are going to work on this side of the petal. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pleat or pinch 3 times up this way. So 1, so I'm just sliding the mesh back to my center here. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can take your clip and put that on, so you know when you let go, it's not going to go anywhere. Now you can try, for some reason I find it much easier to always work from the top to the center. You can go from the bottom to the center if you want, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. And for some reason, for me personally, it doesn't work the greatest for me like that. So I like to bring it back up to the top and bring it to the middle. And I don't know why, it just works better for me. So however you do it wherever you feel comfortable. So you're doing 1, 2, 3, and then we have these 2 little corners that are sticking out from our mesh. We're just going to fold these just underneath. All right. And then once you have the corners folded underneath, this is where you can go and you can rubber band it. Okay, right at the end. And we do call the end of these petals a nub. It's just a word I came up with. It's just to explain what the bottom is. And there we go. That is what your Dean Michael petal will look like. So it's not bad, even though we cut it with scissors. You can see that this mesh is quite forgiving. Okay, and then we can take this off and put this petal to the side, and we're going to do another one. Curl up, triangle. I do top to bottom. We're going to clip to make sure this corner stays together. And then fold it. Yeah, this isn't the greatest 10.5 piece, but like I said, it's pretty forgiving. So I'm going to flip it, my corner to the left. Put my 2 fingers around where I think the middle is, and we're just going to pull, pinch in the center. You can let go of with your left hand now, and I'm going to the top 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then again 3. 1, 2, 3. We got our 2 corners. I'm going to flip them underneath our nub. I'm going to put a rubber band on the bottom of it. And then you're going to take and you're going to kind of fold it down so it makes this rounded petal. And we'll just cut. Once you stop touching the mesh, it stops with the little strings. But it's literally a really, if you're going to cut any kind of mesh with scissors, this is the kind of mesh you can use for just scissors. Okay, now you don't have to pre-make them just like the other petal. You can make them and put them into your zip tie as you're going. Okay, so we'll do that now. Take the top, bring it to the bottom. I swing it to the left. Now, if you're left-handed, you're probably going to swing it to the right. Whatever feels comfortable to you. Again, my mesh is not cut perfect. Don't stress about it. It's a flower. Flowers are not perfect. All right, we're going to find that center, pull it a bit, pinch it. So we got that pleat going down the middle. 1, 2, 3. And then you can clip it, slip it. 1, 2, 3. We're going to bring our corners, take this off, bring the corners underneath. Okay, now we're going to put this whole, instead of rubber banding it, we're going to put it right into the zip tie. I put it into the zip tie about 1/2 inch. So halfway on row 3, halfway, put the end of the nub halfway between the 2 rows. Okay, and then do the zip tie up tight. And then you can take your clip off, and then you're going to open your petal so it's nice and full. Okay, I'll just clip off strings. And we're going to go to the next one. Curl up, diamond, top left, bottom right, corner down. Now, if you have some excess coming out the side, you can just trim that off so that you just see the factory edges. It looks just a bit more cleaner. So if you don't make a perfect 10.5 inch, you just kind of trim it up. All right, we are done row 3. We're going to go around and clip off our zip tie tails. Make sure our petals are all in good shape here. And our pinwheel petals are peeking out in between our D. Michael petal here. Again, you can pull and then go down and snip, pull, snip all the way around. Okay, we're ready to move on to row 4. Row 4, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to do a D. Michael petal, and it's going to go in between these two D. Michael petals. So we're going to have points, like a point in between these two petals. So it's going to look really pretty. So again, we need 8 cut at 10.5 inches. Okay, and we're going to start with the D. Michael petal like we did row 3. We are on row 5 now. We're going to preload row 5. This time we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to be using the normal holes, which the normal holes, you'll see the number 5 and the 2 holes close together. What you're going to do is go down and back up like we've preloaded all of them. That's the normal hole. Okay, now we're going to be doing what we call shared holes, because we're going to put zip ties all the way around row 5. So even though there's a zip tie in this hole, I'm still going to go down the hole and up the next one and do the zip tie up. So you're going to have zip ties literally all the way around row 5. And when we flip it over, it's actually going to look like stitching going all the way around. Okay, so you want to preload row 5. Okay, once you're done row 5, when you flip it over, like I said, you can see that they're all attached. If you have a blank spot with no zip tie, you just missed a zip tie. You should have zip ties going all the way around in a circle on row 5. Okay, and we're going to need 8 pieces of mesh. We're using the lavender on row 5, so I've cut my 8 pieces already at 10.5 inches. Now we're going to do the same petal as we did on row 2. However, do you see how row 2, the petal is a little bit squared? And I did that on purpose. It just makes it look like it's a whole different petal than the petal we're going to use on row 5. It is folded the same way. However, the corner that, I'll just show you. Okay, we got a 10.5 curl up, diamond shape, bottom, top corner to bottom corner. Okay, now we're going to do the pinwheel. The only thing is we're going to focus at the top. We're going to make it sure that it's pointy, meaning I'm going to take the right side like I did. We're going to go straight down the center of the mesh like we did previously. I'm going to put my clip on it. I'm going to flip it over. This time I'm going to focus at the top and make sure that we're going to have a little bit of an overlap, because I want to make that top very pointy. So if you can see, this one is more squared and this one is more pointy. It's the exact same petal. It's just this edge right here. You can kind of see the bottom edge on the flip side. You're going to kind of overlap it so that that top is pointy. Okay, and then again we're going to do the whole 2 inch from the bottom, 2 inch from the top, making sure that that corner is still nice and pointy. And then it makes it look like it's a totally different petal. Now I'm going to trim some of this tail off, leaving only about 1/2 inch, because it's going to get quite bulky in the row here, because we are using a whole bunch of petals right beside each other. So I'm going to put it in about 1/2 inch and then zip tie it up. So when you just leave about 1/2 inch of tail, we're not going to have all this space all convoluted with mesh, okay? So Now you can continue on with a Dean Michael petal. You can even use like a Star Trek petal on row 5. You can switch it up and do whatever petal you want. Like I said again at the beginning, it's totally up to you, whatever petal you want to do. All right, so I'm going to do another petal. I'm going to skip the shared one here because I'm going to do the 4. I could have probably left the zip ties out. Let's cut those out so it's not confusing to you. I'm going to do the 4 normal holes. And then we're going to come back in and I'll put another 4 zip ties in the shared holes. That way it'll just look layered. So it is going to cover this blank spot here. Okay, once we're done those 4, we're going to clip off those zip tie tails. And we're going to preload the shared holes now. Okay, so now we're going to put our sign in the middle of our flower, right in here. And I have included in the kit 2 pipe cleaners that are going to go through the top and bottom hole. However, if you do have a cable mount, you can put a cable mount right into the center of the sign and go right down the center of the flower. Now, the reason I didn't put cable mounts in this kit is because you have to have a really good glue so the cable mount doesn't come off the sign, because the sign is metal. So to make sure that doesn't happen, we're going to use the holes on the sign. So you want to take the, you don't have to because you're not going to see the back of the sign, but I like to take the tags off just in case, you know, they decide to switch out the sign or whatever. Anyways, I always take the tags off. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pipe cleaner, go through the top hole, even it up, and give it a twist in the back just like that. And then we're going to do the same with the bottom hole. And there we go. So our sign is ready to go. Now, when we're going to flip this over, we're going to talk a little bit about where this is going to go, the sign. Okay, so there is the Unique in the Creek logo. That is the very center of the board, okay? Directly up here, we have these 2 holes. There's row 2 that we skipped there. These 2 holes right there are our hanging holes. So directly on row 1, right above the logo, go straight up, and these 2 holes are our hanging holes. What you're going to do is you're just going to take one of your pipe zip ties, go down 1 hole, push the tail back up the other hole, and we're just going to close it up when you hear a few zips like we always do. All right, and then you're going to clip the end of that zip tie tail, and now we have a hanger to hang our wreath on. Okay, while we have the back of the board, the sign, as you can see, it is an 8-inch sign, so it's going to cover these zip tie tails that are on row 5. However, we have to put the sign on. As you can see in the center of the board, the pipe cleaners do line up perfectly with the very center zip ties on row 3. So right above that logo on row 3, that zip tie right here, that is where our top pipe cleaner is going to go. So right here. So it's going to go down these 2 holes, and then the bottom pipe cleaner for the sign is going to go right below where it says Made in Canada and then the recycling symbol. So that right there and right there is where the 2 pipe cleaners for the sign are going to go. All right, saying that, you're going to take your pipe cleaner. Let's find our hole, which is right, we're going to go through the mesh, okay, through the bottom petal of this lavender mesh. When you lift the petal up, you can see that zip tie right there. Let me zoom in and see if I can get it any closer. That zip tie right there is where the 2 pipe cleaners are going to go down. So I'm going to fold this petal back. I'm going to just pin these out of the way. Okay, and we're going to go down right through the mesh. So just push the petal down, that lavender petal, and right about there, you can see that's exactly where the holes are for that on the board. So we're just going to go through the mesh, through the holes of the mesh. So just wiggle it right above the holes. So there's one. You just wiggle it through and it'll go through the mesh. So there's the one, and then I'm going to go right next to that wiggle it through the mesh. So it's through the mesh just like that. And you're gonna go right down the 2 holes over top of that zip tie. And then once you get it through the 2 holes, I'll flip it over. See, there's our red mark. You're just gonna get loose twist. Don't pull it tight yet because we got to do the bottom ones exactly the same. So we can unpin this and fold it back down. And if you want, you can do the same thing. This is the petal. We can fold these 2 back just to get them out of the way. Okay, when I flip this up on row 3, there's the hole right there that we're going to go through. So again, you're going to bring that mesh down, take your zip tie, and we're going to kind of wiggle it through the mesh right above where the hole is. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect because there is we can tighten it or loosen the pipe cleaners as needed to make sure our sign is straight. So we're just poking it right through the mesh and then going right through the mesh down in through the hole. There's one side. Probably can't see, but then I'm going down the hole. There's the other side, and I'm pulling it. I have my hand in the back, and there we go. You can see our pipe cleaners are where they're supposed to be. Okay, we're going to flip this back over, and if you've pinned it back, you're going to release your clips and fold that petal back into its proper spot. All right, and then we're going to flip this over, and we're just going to kind of pull on the pipe cleaner, not too tight, just till you feel a little bit of resistance, and give it about 3 twists. Okay, do the top, and then again the bottom, just till you feel resistance, 3 twists. You don't want to pull too tight. If you pull too tight, you're going to warp your sign. So let's make sure. I even pulled it a little too tight. You can see it's kind of a little bit of warp. Let's just loosen it up just a bit. Let it release a bit and then twist it again. I'm just releasing it so I can just feel it's hitting the mesh and then twist it. Double check. Oh, we're perfect. And there is the sign in the center. It's not going to come off. There's no cable mounts to fool around with. And it's sitting perfectly on our petals. Okay, let's clean up the back so we're good. Once you know your sign is good and in the right spot, clip it down, your pipe cleaners down, and then you can put the ends back down the hole so you keep the back of your flower very nice and neat. Now, if you are selling this flower, you would put a sticker with your business name and where you sell your wreaths. I would put that on the back or tape a business card on the back. So whoever purchases this can find you for a summer one. Or if you're making a gift for somebody, this for a gift, you can actually write a note on the back of the wreath board with a Sharpie marker and even sign it. It's your art. So there is the back. Row 2, every other hole. Row 3, we did every normal hole. Row 4, every normal hole. And row 5, we did the normal holes and also the shared holes. And we have a beautiful flower wreath for our door. It's very pretty. And then you can go around and, you know, fix up your petals and cut any strings. But I did want to mention, if you make your wreath like mine, you do have enough to make a second wreath. Okay, so we have more than half a roll of the lavender left and more than half a roll of the metallic. So it's definitely, you can do another wreath. You can get a different 8-inch center. We do sell custom 8-inch centers. Well, not custom, but in-house 8-inch centers. Or we do have some Easter ones. You don't even have to have Easter. You can get a spring one with these colors in the spring sign and do a totally different wreath. But just to let you know, you do have lots of mesh left over. You have lots of your rubber bands to make your flowers. And you still, of course, have your clips and everything else to use. You just need to make a center. All right, that is it for this tutorial. Thank you for purchasing the kit. Thank you for supporting Unique in the Creek, and thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.